My name is Jane, and this is the story of how my siblings stole my inheritance and how I eventually got it back, and then some. The day of the will reading was overcast, mirroring the gloom in my heart. Mother had been gone for 3 months, a slow, agonizing decline from cancer that robbed her of her vibrancy piece by piece. I'd been her primary caregiver, sacrificing my job, my social life, everything, to ensure her final days were as comfortable as possible. My siblings, Mark and Emily, had visited sporadically, their faces etched with polite concern that never quite reached their eyes. Mark, the golden boy, a successful lawyer with a wife and 2 perfect children. Emily, the social butterfly, flitting from one expensive hobby to another, always needing a handout. The lawyer, a Mr. Henderson, cleared his throat, his voice echoing in the cavernous living room. "We are gathered here today to execute the will of the late Eleanor Harding." My stomach churned as he droned on, reciting legal jargon that made my head spin. Then came the bombshell. "And to my beloved son, Mark Harding, I bequeath the family home located at 14 Willow Creek Lane." The room swam. I blinked, certain I'd misheard. "And to my daughter, Emily Harding, I bequeath the sum of $200,000. Mr. Henderson paused, looking at me with what I perceived as pity. "And to my daughter, Jane Harding, I bequeath the sum of $50,000. $50,000 after everything? After years of unwavering support, countless sleepless nights, and the emotional toll of watching my mother fade away? Mark got the house, Emily got a small fortune, and I got a pittance. It was a cruel joke. There must be some mistake," I managed to stammer, my voice trembling. "Mother always said, she promised." Mark, ever the smooth operator, placed a comforting hand on my arm, his eyes betraying a smug satisfaction. "Jane, darling, I know this is a shock, but Mother must have had her reasons. Perhaps she felt you were more capable of managing your own finances." Emily, never one to be subtle, chimed in. "Yes, Jane, you're so resourceful, you'll be fine. Besides, 50,000 is a lot of money." I recoiled from their touch, the hypocrisy suffocating. They knew, they had to know. Mother wouldn't have done this, not without being influenced. "I want to see the will," I demanded, my voice gaining strength. "I want to see it now." Mr. Henderson hesitated, glancing at Mark. "Of course, Miss Harding, but I assure you it is a legally binding document." The will itself was a crisp, newly printed document. The signature, while resembling Mother's, seemed off, shaky, unlike her usual firm, elegant script. And the date? It was dated just 2 weeks before she passed, when she was heavily medicated and barely lucid. I knew, with a certainty that settled like a stone in my gut, that they had manipulated her. They had waited until she was at her weakest, her mind clouded by drugs, and coerced her into changing the will. "This isn't right," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "This isn't her will." "Jane, you're being hysterical," Mark said, his voice laced with impatience. "Let's not make a scene. We all miss Mother. Just accept it." I looked at their faces, their smug, self-satisfied faces, and something inside me snapped. I wouldn't let them get away with this, not without a fight. "I'm contesting this will," I declared, my voice ringing with a newfound resolve. "I'm going to prove that you two manipulated Mother and stole what was rightfully mine." The legal battle was long, arduous, and emotionally draining. Mark, with his legal expertise, had anticipated my challenge and was well prepared. He hired a team of expensive lawyers who filed motions, delayed proceedings, and generally made my life a living hell. I, on the other hand, was woefully outmatched. I scraped together every penny I had, hired a small-town lawyer named Mr. Abernathy, a kind, well-meaning man, but clearly out of his depth against Mark's legal juggernaut. Mr. Abernathy tried his best, presenting evidence of my mother's declining mental state, questioning the authenticity of the signature, and highlighting the suspicious timing of the will's alteration. But Mark's lawyers were relentless, painting me as a disgruntled daughter, bitter about not getting what she wanted. The judge, a stern-faced woman named Judge Thompson, seemed unimpressed by my claims. She listened patiently, but her expression remained impassive, revealing nothing of her thoughts. The trial lasted for weeks, each day a grueling exercise in futility. Mark and Emily testified, their words carefully chosen to portray a loving, supportive family. They conveniently omitted their infrequent visits, their constant requests for money, and their general disinterest in Mother's well-being. I testified too, pouring out my heart, recounting the years of sacrifice and devotion, the broken promises, and the undeniable feeling that something was terribly wrong. But my words seemed to fall on deaf ears. In the end, Judge Thompson ruled in favor of Mark and Emily. The will was deemed valid and my challenge was dismissed. I was devastated. Leaving the courthouse, I felt like I had aged 10 years. The weight of defeat pressed down on me, crushing my spirit. I had lost. They had won. They had stolen my inheritance, and there was nothing I could do about it. Mr. Abernathy, his face etched with sympathy, placed a comforting hand on my shoulder. "I'm sorry, Jane," he said. "We did our best. But sometimes the law just isn't fair." I thanked him for his efforts, but his words offered little solace. I felt betrayed by my siblings, by the legal system, and by life itself. I walked away from the courthouse a broken woman with nothing but $50,000 and a bitter taste in my mouth. The $50,000 felt like blood money. I couldn't bring myself to spend it, not at first. It sat in my bank account, a constant reminder of my loss and my siblings' betrayal. I moved out of the area, needing to escape the memories and the constant reminders of what I had lost. I found a small apartment in a different town, far away from Willow Creek Lane and the house that should have been mine. I took a job as a waitress, a far cry from my previous career in marketing, but it was honest work, and it paid the bills. Slowly, painfully, I began to rebuild my life. I learned to live without the house, without the security, without the family I thought I had. I focused on myself, on my own well-being. I took classes, learned new skills, and made new friends. Years passed. The bitterness slowly began to fade, replaced by a quiet acceptance. I still thought about Mother, about the house, and about Mark and Emily, but the anger was gone, replaced by a sense of detachment. I saved diligently, investing wisely, and slowly built up a small nest egg. I was determined to be independent, to never again rely on anyone but myself. And then, one day, I received a phone call that changed everything. The call came from Mr. Abernathy. I hadn't spoken to him in years, but his voice was instantly recognizable. "Jane? Jane Harding, is that you?" "Yes, Mr. Abernathy, how are you?" "I'm fine, fine. But I have some news for you, about your siblings, and the house." My heart skipped a beat, the house. It had been so long since I had allowed myself to think about it. "What about the house?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. "Well, it seems Mark and Emily have fallen on hard times. Mark's law firm went bankrupt, and Emily, well, let's just say her investments didn't pan out. They're heavily in debt, and they've been forced to put the house on the market." The news hit me like a jolt of electricity. The house that they had stolen from me, was finally within reach. A wave of conflicting emotions washed over me. Disbelief, vindication, and a strange sense of satisfaction. "Are you interested?" Mr. Abernathy asked, his voice hesitant. "I know it's been a long time, but I thought you might want to know." Was I interested? The question hung in the air. Part of me wanted to walk away, to leave the past behind me, but another part of me, a stronger, more determined part, knew that I couldn't let this opportunity pass me by. "Yes, Mr. Abernathy," I said, my voice firm. "I'm very interested." The process was surprisingly straightforward. Mr. Abernathy put me in touch with a real estate agent handling the sale, a young woman named Sarah who seemed genuinely sympathetic to my story. I viewed the house, walking through the rooms that held so many memories, both good and bad. It was in a state of disrepair, neglected and unloved. The paint was peeling, the garden overgrown, and the air thick with the musty scent of decay. Mark and Emily had clearly not taken care of it. They had treated it as nothing more than a financial asset, a means to an end. Despite its dilapidated condition, the house still held a certain charm. The high ceilings, the intricate moldings, the large windows overlooking the valley, they were all still there, waiting to be restored to their former glory. I made an offer, a fair price based on the house's current condition. Mark and Emily, desperate for cash, accepted without hesitation. Within a matter of weeks, the sale was finalized. The house was mine, officially, legally, undeniably mine. I stood on the front porch, the keys in my hand, a wave of emotion washing over me. It was more than just a house. It was a symbol of my past, a reminder of the betrayal I had suffered, and a testament to my resilience. I had come full circle. I had lost everything, and now I had regained it and more. I knew I couldn't just move in without letting Mark and Emily know. They deserved to know that I was the one who had bought their house, the house they had stolen from me. I called them, one by one, my voice calm and controlled. Mark, it's Jane. Jane, what do you want? I just wanted to let you know that I bought the house. 14 Willow Creek Lane, it's mine now. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. I could practically hear Mark sputtering with rage. You what? You can't do that. I already did. The sale is final. I own it now. You? You bitch! You're doing this to get back at us. Perhaps, I said, my voice even. But mostly I'm doing it for myself. I'm reclaiming what was rightfully mine. I hung up the phone, a sense of satisfaction washing over me. I called Emily next. Her reaction was different, more subdued. Jane? Is it true? Did you really buy the house? Yes, Emily, it's mine. Oh, Jane, I'm so sorry. I know we did wrong. We were selfish and greedy. We didn't deserve it. Her words surprised me. I hadn't expected remorse from Emily. It's too late for apologies, Emily, I said. The past is the past. But I hope you understand that I'm not doing this out of spite. I'm doing this to heal. I hung up the phone, feeling a sense of closure. The confrontation was over. It was time to move on. A week later, I saw them. They were standing across the street from the house, staring at it with a mixture of anger and regret. I walked out onto the porch, my arms crossed, and met their gaze. Mark's face was red with fury. Emily's was pale and drawn. Get off my property, I said, my voice firm. This is my house now. You're not welcome here. They glared at me for a moment, then turned and walked away, their heads bowed in defeat. I watched them go, feeling a strange mix of pity and triumph. They had lost everything, and I had finally won. The real work began now. The house was a mess, but I was determined to restore it to its former glory. I hired a team of contractors, and together we began the painstaking process of repairing the damage and bringing the house back to life. I replaced the peeling paint, repaired the leaky roof, and restored the original hardwood floors. I replanted the garden, filling it with colorful flowers and fragrant herbs. I furnished the house with antiques and vintage pieces, carefully chosen to reflect its Victorian heritage. Slowly but surely the house began to transform. It became a haven, a place of peace and tranquility. The scent of lavender and old wood still lingered in the air, but now it was mingled with the fresh scent of paint and flowers. I filled the house with laughter and light, inviting friends and neighbors to share in my joy. I hosted parties, cooked delicious meals, and created new memories that would forever erase the pain of the past. The house became a symbol of my resilience, a testament to my ability to overcome adversity and create a beautiful life for myself. I often wondered what Mother would think of it all. I imagined her smiling down on me, her heart filled with pride. I knew that she would have wanted me to be happy, to find peace, and to create a home filled with love, and I had done just that. Years passed. I lived a full and happy life in the house on Willow Creek Lane. I never married, but I had a close circle of friends who became my chosen family. I traveled the world, pursued my passions, and lived each day to the fullest. Mark and Emily faded from my life. I heard rumors about their struggles, their failed businesses, and their unhappy marriages. But I made no effort to contact them. The past was the past, and I had no desire to revisit it. One day, I received a letter. It was from Emily. Her handwriting was shaky and uneven. Jane, the letter began, I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I felt compelled to write. Mark passed away last month. He had a heart attack. It was sudden and unexpected. I was shocked by the news. Despite everything that had happened, Mark was still my brother. His death left a void in my heart. Emily continued, I'm all alone now, Jane. I have nothing. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm begging you. Please, can we talk? I hesitated. Part of me wanted to ignore the letter, to pretend that it never existed. But another part of me, a more compassionate part, knew that I couldn't turn my back on her. I called Emily. Her voice was weak and frail. Jane, Thank you for calling. Emily, I'm so sorry about Mark. I know this must be a difficult time for you. It is, she said, her voice trembling. I don't know what to do. I'm lost. I invited Emily to come visit me at the house. She arrived a few days later, looking pale and treacherous. She had aged significantly since the last time I had seen her. We sat in the living room sipping tea and talked for hours. She told me about her life, her regrets, and her hopes for the future. I listened patiently, offering words of comfort and support. I didn't forgive her, not completely, but I offered her a chance to start over, to rebuild her life. I helped her find a small apartment, get back on her feet, and reconnect with her estranged children. I became her friend, her confidant, and her support system. In the end, I found a way to forgive her, not for her sake, but for my own. I realized that holding on to anger and resentment only hurt me. By letting go of the past, I was able to embrace the future with a renewed sense of hope and peace. The house on Willow Creek Lane became a place of healing, not just for me, but for my entire family. It was a symbol of our ability to overcome adversity, to forgive each other, and to create a new chapter in our lives. And that, I realized, was the true inheritance.